Hello, I'm Rebecca of the Garden Gate Flower Company.
And I'm Grace of Grace Alexander Flowers.
And we've come together to create Stuart and Alexander, Gather at the Garden Gate.
A podcast taking you behind the scenes of two gardens, what we've been up to, inside, outside, and out and about.
Good afternoon from me in Cornwall.
Good afternoon from me in Somerset. How are you doing?
It's so nice out there. I can't believe that we've scheduled this podcast for the nicest day ever that I'm having outside.
I know. We should do this in the middle of the night or something, just so that we don't ever crash any gardening time. But I have literally just come in from hedge trimming, so nobody can see me, obviously, and I'm very pleased about that. Although, quick public service announcement, our podcast is now on YouTube. Not that you can see us, because we haven't done the video option of filming our podcast recording for good reason, partly because, the tech isn't up to it in these rural areas, and also I look a state because I've been strimming and cutting down brambles. So.
I think the video version could be, quite stressful, couldn't it? I think I'd have to do a very tight crop on just my face. So I can still sit here in my pyjamas in the afternoon speaking to you.
Absolutely. So link in the show notes for Stuart and Alexander YouTube channel, which is a nice little exciting step in our journey, isn't it?
It is very good. It is very good indeed. Hello to everybody else. I've had a few people saying that they've listened to the new season and loved it. One girlfriend that I actually sent it to is recovering in hospital, having fallen down and hurt herself. Broke her hip. I know, poor lady. But said it was like having two of her girlfriends in the room just nattering with her. So podcast options for when you're in hospital, we have made that as an option.
Yes, someone else said something very similar, which was it was like being part of a conversation with us two, but not being able to get a word in edgeways.
That's like having a conversation with me, generally speaking, if you spoke to any of my friends.
I won't tell you what I replied.
No, I can imagine what you replied, Grace. It wasn't diplomatic, was it? We already...
It was very diplomatic.
I am
practicing.
I am practicing my pauses. That was one of them.
I got,
It was good.
Oh, yeah. No, it's been really lovely hearing some feedback on season 2. But I don't know. I think we'd do this even if nobody listened, actually.
I think we'd do it just to catch up and see how everything's going. So I was going to ask you, obviously you are the queen of inns at the moment because you are having your house renovated. So before you literally shame me on your amazing inns, I will just jump in there with my inn, which is I am in the process of yet again tidying the house because dear Maz is coming to house sit, as I mentioned on the last one. I mentioned this, didn't I? Yeah, so Maz is coming to dog sit.
You did.
Yeah, dog sit and look after the biennials, which she has now also come over, and I told her that she was on the podcast featured on it, and she thought that was quite funny. And I've actually even given her the look around the biennials. And whilst we were out there, she was actually doing some weeding while we were talking. So I was like, you're going to get on fine in my house. That's great.
Yeah.
But I am in the process of going through a bit before you go on holiday. You have this sudden desire, or maybe it's not everybody, but sudden desire to actually have to wash everything before you go.
Yeah.
And also mainly because I've not used any of my summer wardrobe really, apart from today, which is ridiculous because
so you pulled it out the back of the cupboard
slightly pulled it out the back of the cupboard via the cashmere jumpers, cardigans and full length trousers that I've been wearing. So just slightly in that mild panic mode. And also last minute, I spent far too much time online virtual shopping, thinking I need multiple other things for the holiday, but actually managed to give myself a good talking to and I don't need to buy anything new. So
remind us where you're going.
We are off to Corfu. So it's going to be hot. So basically what I will say is anything really that's available to buy in summer clothing in the UK is probably actually too hot to wear because I shall probably spend the entire time in a bikini and potentially the thinnest sarong because I'll be sweating like mad.
I think this is a bit of a win-win because I think what's going to happen, you are going away to the same place as someone else I work with. And I have this prediction that as soon as you get on the plane, we're going to have a heat wave in the UK. And you're going to be like, why did I do that? It's going to be beautiful. I'm planning events and barbecues and
you crack on
pizza oven in the orchard. all the time that you're away because I am predicting a heat wave.
You crack on. I don't care. I'm not going to be checking the UK forecast. I do not care. The difference is, and again, I'm sure people relate to this who are probably gardeners or anyone self-employed, but the only time I ever switch off, really, really, truly switch off, is when you take me away from my garden and my home. And then I seem to be able to switch off. Because if not, it's just constantly, I don't sit down and I don't stop. It's dreadful. So I will just be relieved I don't have to water, deadhead, faff, email, speak to anybody or anything. Sorry to every client that I've got out there saying that in a rude way, but I don't mean that. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think I've really switched off for about 10 years now. Awful.
That's because you haven't got on a flight and gone somewhere. You've got your dogs. You don't go anywhere.
No, I don't go anywhere. So we managed 4.5 days in Cornwall. One of those days I was remotely in court, and then
you were seeing
all
me.
I felt when I got back was, I saw you. No, I don't know. Part of me is a bit like, I've got a life that I love so much, I don't need a holiday from it.
Oh.
But at the time, I do recognise that it means I just never.
Well, I feel
switch
shallow.
off and I never stop.
I have a lovely life, but still would like a holiday switch off.
If I had someone like Maz to come and look after my house and my dog, I'd be on the first flight. Actually, I don't fly, so I'd be on some mechanism to get to a foreign place.
I bet you anything, you might get Maz at your place if you sent her an email and some pictures of your place and the dog. She'd probably love it. She'd be right up there.
Yeah, let's finish the renovation first. Although, talking of inn,
yes, go on.
Out of sensitivity to your
ridiculous
feelings about it, I chose to have a non-renovation inn this week.
Bless you.
I thought, I can't bang on about it.
You can. We'll let you go for at least half a season more.
Actually, I think also nothing's happened.
Okay,
this week, really. I'm going for a food inn.
Ooh.
Which is a bit of a novel turn for events, but I love eating. And I think we are now fully in tomato season.
Really?
So the Isle of Wight tomatoes are arrived in my local farm shop. My tomatoes aren't ready yet.
Okay.
But it is tomatoes for every meal at the moment.
Yeah.
So even when it's not summer outside, I think a lot can be done with a plate and some really lovely food to make it feel very summery. You might be able to hear I'm a bit poorly at the moment as well, so it's any excuse to just pile all the vitamins.
You need
in.
all your colours.
So rainbow eating, absolutely.
Take your tomatoes. I've been doing the same with courgettes.
Oh, I love a courgette.
Yeah.
I love a courgette.
Even had them for lunch, actually, just fried in butter.
I lost all my courgette plants to the slugs, so I confess I don't have a single courgette plant on the property.
No, mine are looking dreadful.
But linking back to the renovation, we pulled out a hot water cylinder from the attic of number 3 cottage, and it's made of copper. It's this huge copper thing.
Wow.
We dickered about ages for it, about what we were going to do with it. And what I'm going to do is my husband's going to slice it into these massive, the slug rings that you can buy.
Yes.
Or slug tape that you put around pots. We're going to have, they're probably about 2 foot wide diameter copper rings made out of this hot water cylinder.
What a great idea.
It's one big, I know, I stared at it for quite a long time before I thought of this, because we were going to say, because I'm the change in the seasons, I'm doing more harvesting of plants for fabric dyeing and things like that, and we was like, oh, surely it should be some sort of kettle for making dye, but I couldn't quite make it work. So yes, we're having these absolutely huge copper slug rings.
What a good idea.
So next year I will be having courgettes.
I just put my courgettes, I didn't sow any, and then I couldn't find any plants anywhere. And then I did eventually find some plants at my local garden centre, Bodmin Herb, but they were quite small. And they have gone in and they are growing, but I am quite considerably, I don't know enough about courgettes as to know how far in we are before I get courgettes, but I'm not going to be getting them anytime soon, if at all. Maybe we'll in autumn.
Saying that, was it Vital Seeds? One of the lovely organic seed companies, I'm sure it was Vital Seeds, sends out an email of what to sow now. And they were saying at the beginning of July, you can re-sow squash and courgettes.
So I'll probably just get a late crop.
Not your pumpkins. Yeah, so actually if you want to successionally sow, just so that the plants keep going. If you're not sick of courgettes by the middle of the summer. Yeah, so I think you'll be all right.
Oh, am I
as long as
fine?
they survive and they keep going, They should be.
It is growing away, but I just thought, as we said in our last podcast last week, there is an element of me that's already thinking to autumn, so I can't almost think about current summer. We spend our lives, don't we, as gardeners, at least 6 weeks ahead of where we should be.
I'm just going to interject a little top tip there for the courgette fans. I was just doing some planning about some feeding, and I just want to remind everybody that if you feed with nitrogen, what you get is lots of green growth. But if you've got fruiting things like tomatoes and courgettes and things, you do want to be feeding more potassium. So if you've got comfrey, make a comfrey tea. If you've got Tomarite out of a bottle, use a Tomarite out of a bottle. It will work for courgette. Anyway, there we go. That's all of the advice I have for you on.
My poor tomatoes almost are looking at me as if to say, "Are you going to feed me today?" And I'm in such a rush. I'm like, "No, not today."
You'd be like, "Maz will do it. Maz will do it."
Maz hasn't been tasked to go up to the land, and the tomatoes are up in the polytunnel. But yeah, I have another absolute diamond of a person that's going to be doing the land, which is lovely Becca, who is the lady, if you listen to series 1, that recommended that I pull back my path and sow Direxo Cosmos and make my path narrower. I love that. She is going to go up to water for me. I'm meeting her next week as a little bit of a run through. And in payment, she's going to take lots of flowers.
A team.
Oh, yes. You need a team to make these sorts of things work, don't you? Teamwork makes the dream work.
Need a team.
Yeah, so that's really good. So out, what have you been doing out? Apart from strimming?
Well, apart from strimming. Actually, I was going to talk about my seed harvest, but now you've mentioned strimming, I'm just going to do a bit of stream of consciousness on something that I've been thinking about whilst I'm strimming. So there's between the end of my kitchen garden and the start of the flower field, there's a sort of car parky area which is shared between the 3 cottages. And there's a section of it that's always been very neglected and has always been just a bit of a dumping ground and very rough sort of grasses and hogweed and things. And I've had it on my mind to it might be that because it's hard standing, so it's really poor quality soil. It's not even really soil, but it might be the only area we can have a wildflower meadow on, because actually we're on clay here and it's so fertile and you can't grow a meadow.
No.
I bought a brush cutter a couple of months ago, which has been really good. And so I thought, today's the day. I've just got a couple of hours. I'm just going to get on it. And I don't know if you find this, but I very often have what I'm starting to call, I think, gardener guilt. And I follow lots of regenerative gardeners and Joe McKerr and people like that who are amazing and very much about respecting the fragility of the ecosystems and being really light touch in terms of what you do as a gardener. But I've been to Joe McKerr's garden and it is exquisite and beautiful and such a beautiful place to be in. And I think, okay, how did you do that? Because I've left this scrubby area for the best part of 3 years and it looks estate. It looks like a brownfield sort of industrial sort of estate. Anyway, so I thought, come on, just pull yourself together and just trim it all down and we'll think about what we can do. So of course, as I was trimming, I thought, oh, there's a really lovely thistle there. That would have done really well for the birds. Oh, there's mugwort there. Oh, that's really lovely. There's lots of hogweed and lots of brambles and lots of other stuff. And the more I was going, the more I was thinking, but brambles are really valuable for lots of, by the time this is September, October, this is going to be covered in fruit. And here's me trimming it.
Yeah.
And I get myself in such a pickle about if I just shut my back door and never went in the garden and it was just taken over by bindweed and brambles and hogweed and thistle, would I be offering the local wildlife a better larder and better habitat than if I do anything? But that's not what I want as a human being and as a gardener. I want something that looks a bit different, but I don't want it to be immaculate. And I keep thinking there's got to be a sweet spot in the middle. But very often I'm thinking I must weed this area, but feeling guilty at the same time, if you know what I mean.
I think it's difficult. I think it's all about blurring the edges. I think, and actually it's quite interesting you talk about this because it very much relates to my out as well, which is, no, I'm just thinking because I've just cleared a whole area, which again, the same as you, was covered in thistles. It had been left to go. But I had this sense of, gosh, if I don't clear this, because I need it for growing, if I don't do this now, this is going to be double the job when I come in spring next year. And again, it's exactly the same way as you. I'm a little bit loath to cover it in membrane, to let it all rot down when what there is there will be quite useful to wildlife in whatever form. And I'm covering it for my own benefit in terms of just saving my back. And I actually, it is really, really difficult. However, I look around me and there's just a field of lovely grass and the hedges are actually really deep and never trimmed. So in some respects, it depends what vista you're looking at. If you look at the immediate vista with the immediate problem that you've got in front of you, you want to fix that.
That's a good point. That is a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, we are very rural, and even by the time I've got back to the fence with these brambles, I look over the fence to the hedge behind and it is full of brambles.
Of course it is.
I know, but it's really...
I think it's getting... It is. I agree with you. And I think it just has to be put into perspective. What I do is a professional job, and if I don't clear and I don't weed and I don't get that area cultivated, I can't grow flowers. And it's as simple as that.
Yeah.
What I have actually done, I decided to do, was just do it in stages, so that actually, rather than going in there gung-ho and going, I'm gonna clear this completely and I'm going to cover this other one in the same day, I've just turned my back on the area that I would have probably covered and just gone, let me just focus on these 5 rows, getting these sorted, and then let's tackle that problem, and almost just accept that actually it doesn't take very long to turn something round again. The ground that I had to turn around last year, it was absolutely backbreaking and exhausting, and I think that's still a little bit in the back of my mind. So when I started doing this part, I was like, oh no, this is, I'm not sure I've got the zest for this. It's just a really weird. I was really excited for the first section. I think I've run out of steam. I need a holiday, but. Also, the one thing which was really interesting, because Maz did come up and have a look at it with me, because sometimes, again, like I said to you, we work so lone, don't we? Gardeners are quite lone people. And the moment you have somebody around for a cup of tea and a stomp through the garden, you suddenly get all these ideas that you didn't really think about before. And talking to her made me realise we grow in so many different ways. The people that would put plastic down, membrane down, burn holes in it, plug plant. There's people that would never plug plant. They'd never use plastic because of the slugs. They'd direct sow, or they wouldn't direct sow because stuff gets... For anybody really starting out, there are thousands of books out there. But actually, 15 years in, I still stand in my plot and just go, I don't know what to do for the best.
Yeah.
There are so many different methods to get to where you want something to be and how it to look. And that's before you even take into account your feeling of, are we doing this for the right reasons? So it stomps you almost, doesn't it? You know?
Yeah, and I think so much of that really relate to this sort of standing there and looking around thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do next? Because there's a sort of the ecological side of things. There's the aesthetic side of things, which is, why does this not look quite as good as I was hoping? And then there's the sort of the emotional side of things, which is, where's my cosmos gone?
Yeah.
I've planted a big row of cosmos here and it just disappeared. So yeah, I think there are so many. I don't know. I think we don't talk enough about. I don't want to make it sort of colonialist, but there is sometimes something quite destructive at the heart of gardening, which is that you have to take from nature in order to cultivate what we would know as a garden. And I'm very comfortable with that in lots of ways. Like you, I'm not like you because I'm a professional, but because like you, I think I see the necessity and the value in doing it. But I think, sometimes
But also what I will...
I question my right to be doing it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. But also the other thing I will say is that I think as individuals, we always look at our space very differently to fresh virgin eyes that would come. I would come to your space and see it. And I think you look at it in a very critical way. And I think going around anybody's garden, I go into my garden, I'm like, oh, God, and this bit here and this bit's not right. And this is where somebody else come into it and go, wow, wouldn't see that part. And you're fixating on something that, you know, is obviously you see that part as being messy and wild, but probably somebody else coming wouldn't see that as being messy and wild. They'd just see that as...
Maybe they'd see it as romantic and wild.
Probably.
Yeah.
But you can't tame wild. I think that's the take home.
No.
You can't tame wild. Just make sure there are wild edges and that everything isn't trimmed within an inch of its life.
So can I seamlessly segue this into my out?
Yes, do. Why not? I'm quite liking this episode.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get a bit more technical again.
Go on,
now,
okay.
but, So on Saturday, last weekend, oh my God, what a privilege. Just such an amazing experience. I went to Caisson House. So it is just south of Bath in a village called Coombe
I
Hay.
love
And
Coombe
it is,
Hay.
I was saying,
Love Coombe Hay.
it is, oh my God,
I know,
beautiful.
I know.
Really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really near to where I used to be, actually.
Really? Oh, such a nice area. And it is Amanda and Phil Honey's house. And I was joking with this. So they've been there 14 years, and it's one of those 14-year overnight successes. So they've spent 14 years building and developing this garden, and now it is everywhere. All the magazines, all the photos, all the big photographers have been there. They've really done a great job. But within their garden, there's lots of structure, lots of beautiful topiary, really beautiful. But under their orchard, they've got this just beautiful, very long grass with lots of orchids and lots of wild flowers in, and just lots of mown paths. Did you know it just gives it that that structure and that loved look? So I was sending my husband lots of pictures of it, saying, why will you not let me have this in the orchard? And he said, our grass doesn't grow like that. It grows nettles and docks and just like big tussocks. Because we're on clay and because we're on really fertile soil, it doesn't grow. And then I was in that, I really want the wild. I really want that romantic,
but
wafting
also,
long grass.
I think,
and stuff.
isn't Coombe Hay, that's quite rich. That's clay, Bath area.
The soil's lovely, but for some reason they have got, and I don't know if it's yellow rattle, I don't know if they've done something. So one of the things, Jackie Mills, so the reason I went there was Jackie Mills, gorgeous Jackie. She did say she listened to the podcast. If you're listening, Jackie, hello, how are you? Hope you're well. Just one of my favourite people. She said what everyone said, which is, you just need to scrape the top off, but digger. Like, I can't be doing that. I just can't be doing that. Yes, so I don't know if I just need to commit to a long-term program.
I wonder what prep work they maybe did at the Coombe Hay. Did you speak to her at all about it?
Yeah, Amanda is lovely. Yeah, and actually, I tried to do some filming whilst I was there, but I was too busy facing my phobia of drawing anything. So I was a bit of a hot
that was
mess.
the drawing. Yes. I saw
that was the
that.
drawing thing. I know. I thought I was quite brave, actually. It was proper big girl pants. Like, just turn up and be grateful and stop making a fuss and song and dance about it. And I did draw some sweet peas, and I did get some watercolour paints out.
Well
but,
done.
Not my comfort zone. I have a huge comfort zone, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of stuff that I'll do, but painting is not in it.
I love it.
Yeah. So everybody else loved it. It was a lovely day. It was a lovely day. But it meant that I couldn't really concentrate on filming the garden, photographing the garden. So Amanda, who is also lovely and came on Beltane 2 years ago.
Okay.
The creative retreat run by Joanna Game, link in the show notes. She has invited me back to do a proper tour, which I will do for YouTube, and then I'll do an interview with her and maybe
nice.
Phil for Gather. So that will be lovely. So I will absolutely ask her what it is that
I must look her up next time I go up there, because I'm always popping up there. I'll have to go and have a look.
Yeah.
It is lovely. Oh no.
Yeah. Any garden that got a front cover of Garden Illustrated is worth a stop in.
Yeah, no, totally, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. No, my out is the final sort of instalment, one should say, in the week that was the mother's 70th birthday, which ended with us going to the rather famous Paul Ainsworth's number 6 at Padstow.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness.
How was it?
I have actually been taken before by our friends that are in Bath as well. So I have, and the menu does change. So again, talking about seasonality, theirs is all very much based on seasonal food. Paul was in the Great British Menu and won it years and years and years ago.
How long has that restaurant been
a
there?
long time. A long time.
I think I went... I think I had a slightly spontaneous holiday with a very, very long ago ex that was very ill-advised. However, a highlight of that particular week in Padstow
was going there. Yeah.
Dinner at number 6.
So it's funny because he did the Great British Menu, I think they said something like in 2006 or something. So a long time ago. And my mum actually did go and had the famous carousel pudding, which just looks fabulous. But it's all changed.
What is a carousel pudding?
It was like a fairground. It was a pudding made to look like a fairground ride. So all of it was edible and stuff. So it's very theatrical and everything. He's got a Michelin star, but it's a completely different menu now. Well, obviously a different menu, but even the process is different. So it's like a set menu. So was there is a bit of
Right.
a choice. It's a very curated menu of, I think it's 8 dishes we ate. To be honest with you, I lost count at about 4 because I was.
Did you have the wine with?
No,
or
no, no. Because
not?
although I wasn't driving, lunchtime alcohol, we just had a glass of lovely Camel Valley, because obviously we live near there and it's very close by. Camel
Yep.
Valley bubbles, which I can highly recommend if you wanted any English bubbles.
Lovely.
But Pads, it was fabulous. And do you know what I loved about it is their staff are just brilliant. Huge shout out to Paul's team, because one of the girls recognised me from when I was in there, which I don't know whether it's a good thing or bad thing. It might have been because of how rowdy we were last time we were there. But she recognised me, and they're just so attentive. It feels really, this is their career. This isn't just,
Yeah.
I don't mean to be awful, but my son going to just cover a summer job. This is a
Yeah.
career for them. And they so pride themselves in the process of hospitality. It's just really shines through from start to finish. And my goodness, we ate some beautiful food. We really did eat some fabulous food and very well looked after. It is expensive. It is. So it's a great celebration thing to do if you can.
Special.
It's a
very special occasion.
It's a special occasion thing. Yeah, it's definitely down there. So Mum being 70, what do you give a lady that's 70? Really, it's a doing thing, not a having thing. Because we have a motto in our family. Doing that for me was like, Mum, this is a doing thing. So we just had a great time, and I didn't tell her until literally I went to pick her up for lunch. I know.
How did she know what to wear?
I told her what to wear because she'd actually bought a very nice dress for another event. And I said, you need to wear that dress. So I told her what she had to wear. And I did then tell her she was going for lunch. But I didn't tell her where until I got there that morning and then told her. And she was very excited. And by the way, the lunch is not just an hour. This thing went on for hours. It was the end of a very fabulous week, I have to say. I'm highly recommend
I love
it.
the doing, not having.
Doing,
Love the doing, not
that was always,
having.
and it's funny really, because I have 2 boys and, living in Cornwall, it is a very outdoorsy type sort of thing. And I think it was the motto we had around Christmas time, which was, we've got a very small house. We don't need to have lots of things. We need to do lots of things.
Yeah.
So it's really funny that obviously the boys are both now pretty more grown up than they were back when having stockings. Although actually they do still have stockings, so I'll say. Everybody has a story. But yeah, doing, not having. That's my motto.
Whoa. It was my birthday yesterday.
It was. Happy
And
birthday.
it was my
belated
birthday
birthday.
yesterday. Well, to be honest, my husband's birthday is 11 days before mine. We're 11 days apart in age. And although he is older. And that was what we went to the Bull and Totnes for, which was last week's out. And to be honest, we vaguely said, oh, let's just not bother. Let's just go out somewhere nice for dinner. And then, so we did that for his birthday. And then, to be honest, we've come back from holiday. We've got launched straight back into renovation stuff. And I just couldn't be bothered with it. So I went to work yesterday. I had a very average day at work. So it was all just, I feel like it's not really happened this year, to be honest.
It sometimes goes like that. But I will say the doing, not having does relate to all 3 men in my house. When it comes to me and my birthdays, I want the doing and having.
Are you very prescriptive about what it is that you want to have? Then?
Yeah. It's best to be.
enough.
It's best to
Yeah.
be. Everybody's clear.
Totally.
Everybody's clear on it. Nobody gets upset.
Yeah. No, my mother buys me the most random passive-aggressive present. Yesterday I got some rubberized dog hair removers. So that was,
She doesn't listen to this podcast, does she?
I don't think she knows how to download a podcast.
Okay, we're safe. We're safe.
Anyway.
That is very funny. I love
Hi,
this.
Mum.
Hi, Mum.
If you do, yeah. She buys me things like advanced driving lessons and stuff like that.
Oh my
Just,
goodness.
Yeah. Things that feedback to me how I'm perceived and experienced by my closest living
I almost
relative.
feel can all of our listeners send us in their worst presents they've ever been bought on direct messages, just because that will just give me so much. That will give me so much to laugh about between now and our next podcast episode. So if you've had a terrible experience,
painful.
yeah, tell us your worst presents.
I find it psychologically painful to be given presents like that. So actually, I've become completely avoidant about buying other people presents, which then makes it look like I don't care. And it's not that I don't care. I'm just so wound up by my lived experience about giving presents that are so awful that, like, I'm quite an empathic person and I just can't. Yeah.
Do you know what? You can't go wrong with a beautiful bar of soap, is all I will say to anybody.
That's true. And top marks for birthday present from my friend Naomi, going back to my inn, she brought me a plant and she gave it to me. I said, it's cosmos. And she said, it's not cosmos, it's agretti.
What's that?
And it's like it's a bit like samphire.
Oh.
But it's like a salad leaf. It's slightly succulent and it's a really interesting, I'm not sure what its genetic or sort of its biological heritage is, but it doesn't grow from seed. It grows from like these really weird twirly things. I don't even know what
I love
their
a
name is,
whirly
but
thing.
there was someone when I did my seed saving course who was specialising in agretti. These tiny.
You're going to have to
clone
put that in the
things.
show notes because I know people are going to be messaging going, "What is this thing?" Otherwise, and I don't want to.
What is the
I don't
word
want to
for
be.
agretti
I don't want to
that's
be
not a seed?
asked what is that thing. I do want people to send me their worst presents. I don't want there to be any
Yes.
missed
You don't want-
communication in what people are sending us right now.
You don't want to hear about my amazing agretti. You just want to hear about awful car crash.
Yeah,
gifts.
awful car crash gifts. Just because actually, things like that will just make me laugh. Thank you very much. That's what we need to. So you're looking it up now.
So I'm thrilled. I am looking up what agretti seed is called, but I can't. Oh, here we are. Vital Seeds. Love Vital Seeds.
Oh yeah, they're good.
They did lots of the seed saving course that I did. They were very well done. This flavour can be described as chivy samphire and is slightly salty. It can be lightly steamed, stirred through Padstow, or added raw to salads or add an interesting twist. The seeds are only viable for a few months and they're actually little plants, not strictly seeds. So there we go. Oh, they're out of stock.
To propagate them, do you just divide them?
They look like seeds, but actually they're tiny embryonic plants.
Oh goodness, this is getting very complicated.
So then yeah, anyway,
You'll love
there we
that.
go, agretti. I got some agretti.
That is lovely. On that basis, and the fact that I now have this other bit of land that I need to just sort out before I go, I need to go and think about, still procrastinate and think about inside, or maybe I might go outside into the garden because it's sunny, and try and map out what I'm going to do next week before I go away.
Yes. I'm going to go out and buy some more tomatoes to go with my agretti. That's what I'm going to do.
Oh yeah, the tomatoes are nice.
Okay.
Yeah, the tomatoes are good, aren't they?
Wow.
Anything
level.
salad. Love it. My lovely, I will speak to you next week, just before going away on my holiday, I think.
Yes. You'll be giddy.
I will be giddy. I probably will be
excitement.
exhausted from all the packing and non-packing and unpacking and moving around and shifting and cleaning the house frantically yet again before Maz comes. I don't know why. She doesn't care.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You have Maz coming. You have no sympathy from me for
know.
anything. You've basically won the house sitter lottery.
Well,
so I don't care if you have to go.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Maybe
just bloody worth
Maz
it.
could probably do herself quite a good deal going around all of the gardeners' places looking after their dogs and houses. I might suggest this to her as a new business opportunity. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's you've got to have someone you trust, don't you? Although I'm going to have to start thinking about who I'm going to trust my ducks when I get my ducks.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Can we talk about ducks next week? Let's put this on the agenda for next week.
I'm still banging on about the ducks.
Yeah. Let's talk about that next week. Anyway, listen, lovely to chat to you. Hi to everybody. Bye to everybody, and speak to you next week.
Lots of love. Take care.
Bye.